Carlos Peña Romulo was born on January 14, 1898, to Gregorio and Maria Peña Romulo. The third of six children, Romulo grew up in a prosperous family in Camiling on the island of Luzon, about 100 miles north of Manila. As a boy, early in the new century, Romulo grew up amid regime change in the Philippines. His father was a guerrilla fighter against American occupation forces after the War of 1898. His father eventually surrendered and years later even became mayor, but the younger Romulo's lingering resentment toward the United States did not dissipate until he was in high school. After he completed his studies at the University of the Philippines at Manila in 1918, he moved to New York City to attend Columbia University, graduating in 1921. He later received a degree from the University of Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana in 1935. At the age of 16, Romulo started as a junior reporter for the Manila Times. The newspaper paid him only in his streetcar tickets, but it gave him the start to what would become an award-winning career in journalism. When Romulo returned to the islands after college, he went back to work as a writer and an editor in Manila. From the early 1920s to about 1941, he thrived in what the New York Times called the hurly-burly Filipino newspaper world. During that period, he grew close to Philippine President Manuel Quezon and became increasingly active in the territory's political future, meeting with the U.S. officials 6 different times. During the early stages of World War II, Romulo kept a close eye on the military movements in the Pacific. In 1941, he wrote a series of articles that ran in Manila and the United States, envisioning the arc of the war in his section of the world. His articles won the Pulitzer Prize and caught the attention of high-ranking officials in the U.S. military, who agreed with his take on the approaching conflict. As the fighting intensified in the Philippines, Romulo, along with the thousands of American and Philippine troops and civilians, hunkered down on a small peninsula west of Manila called Bataan. After months of suffering, President Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered General MacArthur to withdraw to Australia. A short while later, the Allied forces surrendered. Thousands died in Japanese custody, either during the forced march to the prison camps or in the camps themselves. Romulo, however, had narrowly escaped, defiantly writing, "I was the last man out of Bataan." Romulo remained in exile in the States for 2 years, completely separated from his family, with no way of knowing where they were or if they survived. He used his time away to educate people on the conditions in the Pacific and embarked on a remarkable speaking tour throughout America. By late October 1943, he had traveled an estimated 60,000 miles and given 364 speeches in 289 cities all across the country. He was soon appointed Secretary of Public Instruction for the exiled Philippine War Cabinet. Along with his public speaking duties, Romulo assumed additional responsibility after Philippine President Quezon died on August 1, 1944, followed by the quick resignation of the sitting President Commissioner Joaquin M. Elizalde. Romulo, in all, wrote and published 18 books, a range of literary works, which included The United, I Walked with Heroes, I Saw the Fall of the Philippines, Mother America, and I See the Philippines Rise.